So it took these guys a long time to actually storm the stage. Eventually they did. One of them pulled a gun, and I was lucky enough to have a security guard that grabbed the arm of the guy and whispered in his ear, "It's not worth it, buddy," which is apparently what you do when someone's about to shoot you. This is your normal Vanity Fair behind the scene thing. Hello, my name's Sacha Baron Cohen, and today I'm going to be watching some scenes from my career with Vanity Fair.
My name is Borat Sagdiev. I son of Bala Sagdiev and both of the rapist.
In the movie Borat, the only person who was in on it was Pamela Anderson. For the first time we shot with her, she had a dog wedding between her and another celebrity on the beach in Malibu. And Borat interrupts the dog wedding. I'm on a raft, I get pulled in by a jet ski, and I'm playing guitar, singing this song. You'll be my wife, I treat you nice. We will make love whenever I like. We shot that movie, he interrupts, she tells him she doesn't know who he is, he gets bundled. Again, in a real scene with real people. And we looked at it and we thought, we can do better. That last scene isn't good enough for us. So we went to the studio, we asked for more money. Amazingly, they gave us some. We came up with this idea of Borat has this marriage sack and he's going to stick it over Pamela Anderson, and that will mean that she is married to him.
Will you marry me?
No thanks.
No, agreement not necessary.
And everyone is real in this, obviously apart from myself, Ken Division playing Azamat, and Pamela Anderson, who are all in on it. Everyone else, they're real fans. We shot the scene twice in one day. The first time, the fans didn't do anything. I stick her over my shoulder, no one did anything. And this time they get involved, and I've got her over my shoulder, and actually I bumped into Pamela Anderson on Saturday night at some event, and she said, I gotta tell you something, which was when you span around, I hit my chin, and there's a bit of bone floating around since that day. She told me one time, she goes, I'm gonna show the movie to Kid Rock. And I said, all right, tell me how it goes. It was a little private screening in Malibu with a bunch of Hollywood types. I said, how did it go? And she said, we're getting divorced. And I went, ha ha. She said, no, we're actually getting divorced. She filed for divorce the next day and put reason for divorce. She wrote Borat.
Pamela, wait! Pamela, I will give you your own plow!
When we run out, there were some security guards. They'd just come back from Iraq and they were told to just take me down. They tackled me and I cut my head open, actually. So that was the only real time that I got injured. So in retrospect, me and Pamela both got injured in that scene. It was a little worse.
Pamela! I am not attracted to you anymore! Not!
Straight day! Straight day!
Yes, so Brüno was a dangerous movie to make. First time we shot this, my assistant comes in, Lutz. You know, I say, does any of you want to fight? Come on! And he comes in to fight Straight Dave. And we have a fight and I start beating him up. He's got blood capsules. It looks pretty realistic. We'd rehearsed the fight. And the audience stopped booing. Why? Because I looked like a tough guy who knew about Ultimate Fighting. He looked like a nerd who comes in and I beat him up, fair and square. And I got too into character. I kind of lost sense of what I was meant to be doing legally. And I challenged anyone in the audience to a fight. Come on! And if you want to fight, come in here, kick the shit out of you. I was instructed by my lawyer, whatever you do, do not incite a riot. And I see this huge guy stand up and he runs towards the cage and I'm like, this is fine, I'm gonna be protected. You know, I got security guards. I go, wait a minute, where are the security guards there? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? I see they're right down at the other end of the arena. The fight had been broken out. This guy jumps, grabs hold of the cage, does a flip, lands in front of me. He's like a 6'8", super tough UFC fighter. And he roars. And luckily, we had built a trap door in this cage. There was debate as to whether we should. We built a trap door, and I had a bodyguard who'd just come back from Afghanistan, and the code word was go, go, go. And I realized with Larry Charles, the problem was that it looked like I was too dominant, and we shoot the same scene another time. This time, we put fake barbed wire at the top of the cage because that would psychologically inhibit people from jumping in. And also, we zip tie all the chairs down. I redid the scene. And so what happens was I turn around and Lutz attacks me from behind. He plays dirty. And so the crowd are on my side. Then I fight him. Then I beat him up. There's blood. Pin him back. The crowd are on my side. Then I kiss him. What I noticed was when people were homophobic and they found out my character was gay, they would often threaten violence and sometimes become violent. And so we're making out on the floor and suddenly I see one metal chair fly in. I'm thinking, how the hell did that happen? Somebody had brought in a knife and started sawing through the zip ties, and I hear go, go, go. I go, run out, and we fortified the sides of this trapdoor in this tunnel that we'd built. And you see in the wide a bunch of the crowd trying to break into the tunnel. There's a car with the door open that's running. We drive and we get out of there. And we basically wrote this movie as if it was a rom-com. And instead of it being at a ball game, you know, where everyone's cheering when they kiss, the idea would be to make them rather upset.
I wrote this song with my two best buddies. Yeah, they're nice. Obama was a traitor. America, he hated.
For the band in this scene, we hired, they knew what we were going to do. And for this scene, actually, is one of the 2 times in Borat's subsequent movie film that I wore a bulletproof vest. This was a gun rally. A lot of people had semi-automatics. And so I was advised by my security guard to wear a bulletproof vest. I said to him, well, what happens if they start using these semi-automatics? And so he built an amplifier, which you can see on the left, that is basically pretty much bomb-proof. And the idea was, if they really started shooting, I would jump behind the big amplifier and then security would come and get me, take me to a waiting ambulance and get me out of there.
Dr. Fauci, what we gonna do? Inject him with the Inject him with the
This was in the middle of COVID. We were the first movie to go out during COVID to shoot. So we were, experimenting with how to stop the virus spreading. And actually, the second day of filming, half the crew had COVID. Despite us taking around, we had a testing machine that was like a huge 1980s photocopier, but they'd forgotten to supply us with 2 parts. So it would take 3 days for a result. So we'd shoot, and then 3 days later, we realized, 5 people had COVID in there. And pretty soon we were just shooting with regular TV cameramen from the local area. And these people here didn't believe in COVID. They believed it was a liberal hoax. And they believed that it started in China. And they called it the Wuhan flu, which was a phrase that Trump had used. And the reason I did this scene was I wanted to demonstrate that these lies and conspiracies ultimately would lead to violence. So this kind of fun country and western song that's actually written by my brother, it was all about injecting people with the Wuhan flu. And it was warning really about that, saying that lies fed to good people will actually lead to good people committing heinous acts.
Who wants to chop them up like the Saudis do? Journalists, what we gonna do? Chop them up like the Saudis do.
There was a member of Black Lives Matter who went undercover into this crowd because there was a rivalry between these 2 groups. And that person recognized me and went, oh, Sacha Baron Cohen, it's Borat. People started storming or trying to storm the stage. What they didn't realize was we had actually paid for the security for the event through a right-wing super PAC that we'd created. And so it took these guys a long time to actually storm the stage. Eventually they did. One of them pulled a gun, and I was lucky enough to have a security guard that grabbed the arm of the guy and whispered in his ear, "It's not worth it, buddy," which is apparently what you do when someone's about to shoot you. And then I was escorted out, went into a waiting ambulance, and the security guard said, "Let's go, 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 go. Shut the door, let's go." And I see the director, Jason Walliner, running, and he's being chased by some of these guys with guns. And my security guard said, "We can't." I said, "Let's wait for him." He goes, "We can't, let's go, 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 go." And I decided to wait for him. Jason jumps in, we close the doors, and we're surrounded. And I say to the security guard, I say, "The doors are closed, right? You've locked all the doors." He goes, "Yeah, absolutely." At that point, one of the doors gets pulled open and they start trying to pull me out. Through pure physics, I grab onto the door and use my legs to push against their pulling and managed to close the door, then chased by a bunch of guys. I was hiding out in an Airbnb nearby in Tacoma, and they found out where I was. And then really I was changing venue every night because these guys who were very connected in the area were looking for me. So that was the last kind of week of Borat 2. It was quite intense.
Welcome, monsieur. Sit yourself down and meet the best innkeeper in town. As for the rest, all of them crooks, rookings the guests and cookings the books.
This is Master of the House from Les Misérables. I loved this musical from when I was a kid. I saw it in the West End in London. And Tom Hooper asked me to do this movie. I couldn't because I was shooting The Dictator at the time. So I said, the only way I'll do it is if you do it right at the end of the shoot. And he says, all right, you've got this big scene, Master of the House. It's a really complicated scene. And he said, listen, would you choreograph it while I'm filming? And at the end of every day, show me what you've got. So I kind of worked as a kind of assistant for him. And, you know, he'd shoot, I'd show him what we had. It was a really complicated scene of how we steal stuff, and we had to actually affect the set and where stuff would go into. And then we kind of worked together. He was completely into collaboration. I'm better if I collaborate. If I surround myself with great people who are a lot smarter than me, they'll think of great ideas, they'll come up with stuff. And it's that creative process. I'm not a auteur, I'm not a solo guy who sits in a room. I'm someone I need to vibe off people.
Master of the house, keeper of the zoo, ready to relieve them of a sou or two, ordering the wine, making up the weight, picking up their knickknacks when they can't see straight.
It got to a week before this scene, and because Tom Hooper insisted on everyone singing live, you know, most musicals are pre-recorded. This one was sung live, and I'd done that once before on Sweeney Todd, where I sang a few takes live and then used it. I told Tom Hooper that, and he was like, let's do that for the whole movie. We were singing 10 hours a day, and I lost my voice. So I went on voice rest. That means you don't speak for a week. Anything. You don't even whisper. This was the first time I opened my mouth, and the first time I'm singing, and my voice is really croaky, and I kind of hate it. And I said to Tom Hooper, I go, I'll record it today, but obviously we're going to redo my voice. Unfortunately, he used the croaky, husky voice. I suppose it gives me this kind of criminal feel to it.
Everybody raise the glass.
You have set me free, and for that I thank you.
I will never shake your hand, ever. But I will give you this.
So this is an interesting scene. This kiss here was actually an idea that I had. I went up to Adam and I said, listen, I've got this idea that they kiss at the end, and then I say, sir, you taste of America. And he said, I don't know. And I go, please, I think, can we try it? He goes, all right, we'll try it, we'll give you one. So we did it. Adam loved it. The crowd actually booed at the time because I think we actually shot it in Talladega and they were like, what the heck? Whoa! You know, which actually just egged me on to do it longer. Adam McKay always says, this is why it's always worth shooting an alternative to a scene. I was so happy that this got in.
Sir, you taste of America.
Thank you.
And just a little thing, that voice that I'm doing, it's based on my old clown teacher, Philippe Gaulier, who speaks like this. You are on the chair of the bad student. You are not funny. You sit on the chair of the bad student. I was like, I need an accent for this guy, and I used Philippe's. So, Philippe, that was yours. And this scene here was a 14-page scene, which is a lot, particularly for someone like me, who hasn't done that many scripted movies. And Alfonso Cuarón, the incredible director who's done Gravity, Tu Mama Tambien, and one of the better Harry Potters, he said, you know, I want this to be shot in one. In other words, no cuts, you can't stumble. And so I was a little bit intimidated. I said, do we really need, can't we cut around? And he said, no, cutting, I can't do the accent, cutting is an act of violence. We basically shot this scene in one go each time, 14 minutes, again and again and again. After about 11 takes of it, that's 11, 14, I don't know, what, 154, 2.5 hours of performance, he says, today was a rehearsal, tomorrow we'll do the scene. So it was exhausting because you're seeing this, I'm crying, I'm shouting, and now I'm looking at it, and there are edits. So Alfonso, what was this bullshit about not editing and it being an act of violence? Should have told me. I would have done the scene in 1.5 minute sections. Anyway, I'll carry on watching.
Who else has them?
I don't know.
You don't know? These could soon be all over the internet. Sit down. Look at them.
Who gave you those?
Look at them.
For me, with all the characters, it always comes from the language. What words do they use? What do they say? What ideas does that indicate about the character? What's their rhythm? And then you go into the performance, you know. What's the accent? What is the pitch of the voice? What's the rhythmical style? Then it's the costume. What do they wear? How do they walk? Are they authentic? You know, how do they change? With Robert, when I first read it, I didn't really understand him. I didn't understand why he went on this journey. So I said to Alfonso, let's work on the character because I can't play him at the moment. Together we went back and forth a lot with the language. And so I started having a lot of dinners with, you know, upper class guys. There were people I went to university with who I'd say, who were upper class. I said, can you organize a dinner with a bunch of posh twats? And then I'll observe them, but, you know, get to the dinner and the guys would say, okay, so we're the posh twats. What do you want to know about us? And yeah, that was at the beginning of the process of trying to find out who he was.
What is the most popular thing in the world?
Music.
No.
Tell me.
Ice cream.
This was shot before Donald Trump was president, long before Donald Trump was president. I always wanted to interview him. We go into Trump Towers, and I'm waiting in a room with the director who you hear off camera, a guy called James Bobin, and I can hear Trump screaming at the mayor. We hear him shouting at Giuliani in the other room on the phone, and it was kind of intimidating. And actually, having read up about Trump, I think he often would do that. I don't know if Giuliani was ever actually on the phone. But he came in, you know, he's an impressive guy and it's intimidating, and I knew I didn't have long. He had said to this director, James Bobin, who's like this good-looking, blonde, seemingly upper-class guy, he said, you know, are you interviewing me? And he said, no, this guy is. He looks at me, Ali G in the corner, and I can see Trump's face. He does not want to be interviewed by Ali G at all. And so he goes, all right, let's get this over with.
So my idea is what?
To make a drip-proof ice cream.
No. Oh, that's a fucking brilliant idea, this.
And so this didn't last long. It was really about me trying to get funding for this business scheme of an ice cream glove. He was pretty upset after it. Trump came out and criticized me a number of times after that. And we actually used clips of it to publicize and promote another TV show I did called Who is America. And we used some of his clips talking about me and how talentless I am. And yeah, I had no idea that he was going to become president of America.
Okay.
Is you win or is you win?
Okay, well, it sounds like a good idea, and I hope you make a lot of money. Good luck, folks. It's been nice seeing you. You take care of yourself, okay?
Is you going to be in on that?
This is fun. I'm laughing at some of the stuff. I haven't seen a lot of this stuff since it came out. Thank you very much for watching.